Hey everyone, so I'm back with video number two of statement of purpose. And remember, we were discussing about what to exactly write in which particular paragraph. So we discussed about paragraph number one, and now let's jump into paragraph number two. So what you should be writing in paragraph number two, that I'll be telling you in today's video, and also about what to write in paragraph number three. And if you wish to, then you can split paragraph number two into two other paragraphs. So let's discuss what goes on in this one. So as you can see here, first thing is that you should know what you have achieved so far, and you should be able to explain this on a sheet of paper. And then the next thing you need to keep in mind when you explain this is that your statement of purpose is something that should complement your CV and vice versa. So make sure that the things that you could not add in your CV or your resume are the things that you can add in your statement of purpose, which will really help you to form a good story. So this is something that you need to understand, that these things, these two set of documents go parallel, and this is really important here. Then you need to elaborate about the techniques that you know, so the softwares, and it is solely dependent on the type of position that you're applying to and what's required of you. So then you can show that what you've already learned and what you're also willing to learn. Then your strengths and weaknesses, and also when you mention about your weaknesses, just make sure that you show that you're motivated enough to work on those weaknesses. And yeah, that's quite about it. And then the last part is about hobbies, because sometimes people like to know that who you are as a person, and not just about the who you are as probably just as a nerd, or somebody in the academic field. So you probably have one sentence to spare for if you have to describe about your hobbies, and especially if you have hobbies in stuff like public speaking or science communication, then this adds up a lot. Like these days, people really value those students who have interest in public speaking, and also like giving presentations, storytelling, and all these things. So then let's move on to paragraph number three, and this is going to be the last paragraph. You can also split this into two. So paragraph number three has, so what specifically interests you in their work. So you remember in the beginning of part one of statement of purpose, I was telling you that you can keep certain paragraphs standard and you can tailor certain paragraphs. So basically I was talking about paragraph number three. So you will always have to tailor this depending on the type of position that you're applying to, and depending on the university, the graduate program, and the lab that you're applying to. So read up a bit, do your own research, and then frame this paragraph. So you need to tell them that what you're specifically interested in their work, and then how would you want to contribute. Because if you have read what they're working on, then you would also know where your skill set can come into, and how you can contribute into the project, and what sparks your interest in the project. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. And I think this paragraph is so important, because you really need to know what you're entering into, because a PhD is something that you will be doing for next 4 to 5 years, and you wouldn't want to get into something that you're not interested in. So it's basically one of a long-term commitment. So make sure that you don't shoot in blind, and just think for yourself what you want to learn. And then some additional tips. So tip number one is that make sure that you start drafting the statement of purpose around 3 or 4 months before. You have to get this proofread by somebody, and then never delete your drafts, and always like save them in a specific folder. So this is something that is probably sounding very naive, but when we are beginning this at the first time, we don't pay attention to these things. And I mean, people tell these things also very clearly to the ones who have done this, so that the others, it becomes a bit easy for them. So make sure that you draft this statement of purpose, and make several drafts, and give it to people that you think would be able to proofread this for you. And don't ask them to change stuff, but ask them to just um, comment on it, or in Word there's a specific part where you can track changes and do that. That'll be really helpful. So this is one thing. Also, when you get it proofread by people, allow them enough amount of time to do so, because I'm sure you'll be getting it proofread by other people in the field, and I'm sure there'll be busy people. So just give them enough amount of time so that they can give you constructive feedback and also something that would be helpful to you. Well, I guess we are almost towards the end of this, and just want to tell you here is that scientific writing is very much different than your basic writing. So make sure that you start writing your statement of purpose well before your applications. Just keep a track of it. And this was one tip that I learned when I was writing my statement of purpose. This was a tip from one of the PhD students back then. She told me that, you write, let's say I wrote my first draft of statement of purpose and I saved the document and I'm not looking at it for maybe 1 or 2 days. And then on a fresh start, I can open the document again and read through the whole thing so that then I see what mistakes I have done. And just to close this video now, the final thing that I would want to tell you is that make sure that your font size and the spacing and there are no grammatical mistakes in your statement of purpose because it gives a very bad impression. So that's quite about it. I wish you all the best for your all the applications, and if you have any questions, write them down in the comment section below. I hope these 2 videos were helpful to you. If you haven't watched part 1 of this, really go back to this because that's the one that forms the basis for this. So I hope your doubts are clear now.